happy to be here with you today to celebrate women internationally. And how are we going to celebrate? By cooking a delicious dish called chicken Francese. So let's get cooking. So for the chicken, we are going to use 3 chicken breasts, boneless and skinless, about 2 pounds. We also need half a cup of all-purpose flour, which we will season with salt and pepper. We need 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons of whole milk, and 1/4 cup of olive oil or vegetable oil. And for the sauce, we need 2 lemons, 1 cup of chicken stock or a little more, 3 cloves of garlic, 1 tablespoon of all-purpose flour, 6 tablespoons of butter, salt and pepper, half a cup of dry white wine, and about 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley. So are you ready? Because I am. As you can tell, I took everything out, all of my ingredients and my equipment. So that's one tip I have for you. Whenever you do brunch, lunch, dinner, get all your ingredients and everything out of the fridge so you're not going back and forth looking for stuff in the cabinets. Anyway, so let's get started with this recipe. I am going to season my all-purpose flour. So like I said, this is half a cup, and I am going to add some salt. So when it comes to cooking, you want to season all of the layers in your dish. That way, when you take that bite, it's all pretty well balanced. I am going to use a fork to mix everything really well. So the flour, the salt, and the black pepper. Now let's talk about chicken Francese. I'm sure you've also heard of a dish called chicken piccata. It's very similar. The only difference is the chicken Francese, you dredge the chicken in the flour, then the egg wash. In the piccata, you dredge it in the egg wash, then the flour. I know, it seems so simple, but it really does matter at the end. So the next thing that I'm going to work on is my egg wash. I have 3 eggs here. And I am going to season this with salt and pepper as well. I'm always telling my students to have a little bowl so that they can put their garbage in. That way they're not also running back and forth between the garbage can and their prep. Okay, so I got a little egg in my hand, so I'm going to wash my hands with a little soap. And I'm always reminding my students, especially my kids, to always wash their hands when they're dealing with poultry or eggs because of the salmonella and the bacteria. So here I am going to season with a little bit of salt, black pepper, again, layers, and add about 2 tablespoons of whole milk. I'm going to just eyeball it, okay? And use a whisk to incorporate it all together. Now you can break the yolks with your whisk and mix it. It just makes it easier to mix. Okay, there you go. Pretty fast. I'm probably gonna whisk it right before I need to put in and dredge and put the chicken in the egg wash. So, did my egg wash, my flour. Again, do all of your measuring and your prepping right before you go to the stove. You need about half a cup of dry white wine. Now I'm using a Sauvignon Blanc, But for this recipe, you can also use a Chardonnay or a Pinot Grigio. And now the key to the wine when you cook with wine is that if you love it, then you can cook with it. You can drink a little bit while you cook with it. So I had already measured out my chicken stock, and then I'm going to pre-cut my butter. Okay, so we said 6 tablespoons. Okay, that's about 6 tablespoons. Put it on the side. So the next few things is to do my lemon. And then I'm going to thinly slice my lemon. And also peel my garlic and crush it. You don't even need to mince it. Now this recipe doesn't traditionally have garlic in it, but I love using fresh garlic in absolutely everything I make. All right, there you go. So for the next step, I want you to come in closer so you can watch me thinly slice my lemons. Okay, here we go. So the interesting part about this dish is that you are going to also brown your lemon slices. You're going to want to take out all the seeds. That way no one is like stuck eating seeds. So the next and final thing that I'm going to work on, well, 2 things. It's my parsley. So pre-wash it, okay, before you start cooking. 1/4 cup. Try to take only the leaves. Okay, bunch it up. And you can do a rough chop. You don't need to finely chop it. You're gonna use this in the sauce and also as a nice garnish. So this looks good to me. So I'm done with all of my prepping. And now I'm gonna get to thinning out my chicken. Oh, and over there I am boiling water, which I seasoned with salt and olive oil to make my favorite fettuccine to go along with this dish. But get back over here because I need to finish my prep. All right, so we are up to our final part of our prep, and that is to cut our chicken breast in half. Put your hand on the top and cut it in half, but then we're also going to thin it out a bit, okay, by using a mallet and a Ziploc bag. So simply put your half in here. You can do 2 at a time and use the flat side of your mallet. If you don't have one of these, you can use a rolling pin or the bottom side of a bottle. Just make sure to be very careful. Hit and then push out. There you go. Seasoning both sides of the chicken with salt and pepper. So let's turn this baby on. Medium high heat. And I'm using my favorite iron skillet because it retains heat and cooks everything so evenly, and it's beautiful for searing or frying, which is what we're going to do. So I added my oil. Now let this get really hot. My oil is hot, but in order to test it, I like to add a little bit of flour. And if you see it sizzling, then it's ready. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the chicken breasts, chicken cutlets that we thinned out, and I'm going to dredge it in the flour and then put it in my egg wash. Make sure that you get rid of or let the rest of it go back to the bowl. And my oil is pretty hot, so simply put it in there. You hear the sizzling? Perfect. So continue working on the other pieces. Now you need to line a tray or a plate so that once you remove your chicken pieces, you can let them rest. Now they're not fully cooked, but you'll finish cooking them in the sauce, which we will do next.
Okay, so get closer. Let's check on these cutlets. Don't you love the sound of chicken frying in hot oil? So let's look at the first cutlet. If it's nice and golden at the bottom, then it's ready to be flipped. That white perimeter around the cutlet's telling me that it should be. Perfect. It looks beautiful. Second cutlet. Yes. Not sure if you know, but this dish is actually an American Italian recipe. It is not French or Italian exactly. So after we cook these cutlets, we're gonna put them on a tray. They're already lined with paper towels, and I'm gonna work on the sauce right after.
So now I'm cleaning my pan with paper towels to get rid of all the residue. I am going to add about 2.5 tablespoons of butter. Let it melt. Okay, so the next step is to brown the lemon, and that is going to add a lot of flavor to this dish. This looks perfect. So I'm going to lower my heat a little because I don't want my butter to burn. I make sure that there are no seeds in my lemon.
So as they brown, you can hear the sizzling much louder, and they're beautiful. So let's put these on a plate, and it's going to make the dish look really gorgeous when you put them back on the chicken. I'm going to use the same butter in here to actually melt more butter so I can start on the sauce. So I am going to add another 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter, turning back my heat, which I had turned off because I didn't want the other one to burn. You don't want burnt butter. Okay, so this is now melted.
So I added the flour, and that's going to thicken the sauce. Now I'm going to add my 3 garlic cloves. So I have this at medium heat. Okay. So now the flour is nicely dissolved. And so I will add the wine. The wine has to cook for about 4 minutes. Once you see that it's gonna boil, look how thick it's getting already. The wine, the alcohol has to evaporate. So I'm going to lower my heat, and you're going to be left with the flavor of the wine. of the grapes actually that they made the wine with. If you could be in my kitchen smelling this, you'd be so happy. Okay, so I'm gonna let it cook a little longer. And then after that, I will add the chicken broth. Finally, the lemon. And then I'm going to put back the chicken cutlets and garnish it with parsley. Okay, so the alcohol from the wine cooked off. So now I'm adding my chicken stock. I'm gonna allow that to cook a little longer. Mix this in. So my sauce has thickened and it also has reduced. Now I added my lemon juice. And going to nestle my chicken back in. Before that, we'll season with some salt and pepper. More salt, and that should do it. Nestling the chicken right back in. It's going to cook for another 2 minutes. I'll flip it over in between so that the chicken soaks up all the sauce. You can serve this with a side of potatoes or your favorite pasta. It looks beautiful. Putting back the lemon. That just makes it look much more impressive. Beautiful color.
So come closer, sniff. All right. I'll describe it. It's so garlicky and it's lemony and it smells and looks delicious.
So just going to add and finish it with some fresh parsley. Looks beautiful and it smells wonderful. So my dish is finally done. Oh my God. It's so good. It's actually really tender and lemony and creamy. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me in your home, in your kitchen. I do hope you get to make this dish. And one more thing, cheers to you.